Robert Hardman's new book details allegations that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor received financial benefits from Jeffrey Epstein's business dealings. The author also reports an incident in which the Duke of York physically assaulted a senior palace aide. These revelations are presented within the context of a growing discussion regarding the late Queen's reputation and the circumstances surrounding Andrew's former role as a trade envoy. Public opinion concerning the Queen's popularity remains undiminished, with recent polling indicating consistent adoration. However, the book introduces new information about Andrew's conduct, including his disregard for royal communications advice prior his 2019 BBC Newsnight interview. Palace officials, including his private secretary Amanda Thirsk, reportedly warned him against the interview, recognizing its potential negative impact. Andrew proceeded, allegedly believing himself superior their counsel. The interview, which significantly damaged Andrew's public standing, occurred during a politically sensitive period leading up a general election. Royal protocol dictates that the royal family maintain a low profile during election campaigns, avoid overshadowing political discourse. Andrew's interview, however, generated substantial media coverage, diverting attention from political candidates and subsequently making him a subject in leadership debates. Jeremy Corbyn, then a prospective Prime Minister and a lifelong Republican, was questioned about the monarchy in the wake of Andrew's appearance, stating a need for improvement within the institution. This brought the future of the monarchy directly in the electoral campaign, an outcome Andrew reportedly did not anticipate. Post-interview public sentiment was characterized by profound anger, particularly due to Andrew's perceived lack of empathy for Epstein's victims. His statements, such as expressing no regret for meeting Epstein because he learned a lot about business, were widely criticized as out of hook. This marked a turning point as public clearance for his role, previously attributed his efforts for British trade and the Queen's affection, evaporated, signaling the end of his public life. The book also recounts a physical altercation involving Andrew and Vice Admiral Sir Tony Johns Burt, then the master of the household. The incident reportedly stemmed from Andrew's desire to host a pitch palace entrepreneurial event at the palace, a request denied by Sir Tony due scheduling conflicts. Sir Tony, a distinguished ex-admiral and Falklands War helicopter pilot, was known for his firm demeanour and popularity among household staff, overseeing hundreds of employees. The dispute escalated when Andrew insisted on immediate access to a room, despite being elderweight like others. The confrontation culminated in Andrew delivering a kinetic blow. The master, Sir Tony, following standard workplace procedures, reported the incident his superior, the Lord Chamberlain, Earl Peel, who then informed the Prince of Wales. The Prince of Wales subsequently addressed the matter with Andrew. Andrew reportedly reacted by accusing the Lord Chamberlain of creating trouble. The Lord Chamberlain confronted Andrew about his inappropriate treatment of staff. The Duke of York later issued an apology letter described as insincere. The gravity of the situation was such that Prince Philip, who had retired from public duties in 2017, felt compelled to write his own letter of apology. Sir Tony, the Queen, was also informed and reportedly unsurprised, remarking that such behaviour was characteristic of Andrew. The broader implications of Andrew's conduct, both within the palace and during his tenure as a trade envoy, suggest a systemic issue that has prompted reflection on the need for greater intervention concerning certain royals. There is a perception, which the author views as unfair, that the late Queen is being unduly blamed for Andrew's actions following her passing. In 2001, after Andrew left the Royal Navy, the Queen and her staff attempted to find him a continued role within the service, but the Navy had exhausted its options. The idea of Andrew becoming a trade envoy originated from the Tony Blair government, supported by Peter Mandelson, providing Andrew with a purpose and a role he embraced. These trade visits were coordinated by the Foreign Office, conducted at the direction of the Department of Trade and Industry, and involved Metropolitan Police officers under the Home Office. The involvement of 3 government departments and Downing Street indicates that responsibility for his role extended beyond the Queen. The author posits it is unreasonable to expect an elderly mother constantly monitor her adult son's actions. Concerns about the effectiveness of Andrew's trade missions for UK industry were evident over time. The book details Epstein's view of Andrew as not very clever, but useful for opening doors business connections. Epstein reportedly informed an individual that Andrew would receive a cut from deals facilitated through these introductions. The specific financial arrangements remain unclear, pending ongoing legal proceedings. By 2010 to 2011, media outlets began publishing photographs of Andrew meeting Epstein after Epstein's initial conviction for sex offenses. Simultaneously, the efficacy of Andrew's trade envoy role diminished. Former Prime Minister David Cameron recounted the difficult task of informing the Queen that Andrew's position had become an embarrassment. Andrew was known for making inappropriate remarks at international events like Davos and consistently complaining the government about trade deals with individuals of questionable backgrounds, despite his primary role being represent the Queen and offer polite encouragement. These cumulative issues led the eventual termination of his role. The allegations concerning financial benefits from Jeffrey Epstein's business dealings introduce a new dimension, the scrutiny surrounding Andrew. The book suggests a transactional relationship where Andrew's royal access could be leveraged for commercial gain by Epstein. This perspective aligns with reports of Epstein viewing Andrew as a conduit for business opportunities, rather than a close personal friend, according to the author. The claim of a cut from deals facilitated through Andrew's introductions implies a direct financial incentive, distinct from official royal duties or charitable endeavors. Such arrangements, if substantiated, would raise questions about the appropriateness of a member of the royal family receiving private remuneration for connections made through their public status. The ongoing legal proceedings mentioned in the book are undersod, relate the complexities of these alleged financial ties. The reported physical altercation with Vice Admiral Sir Tony Johns Burt represents a rare instance of direct physical confrontation involving a senior member of the royal family within palace grounds. Sir Tony, as master of the household, held a pivotal position overseeing the operational aspects of the royal residences and managing a large staff. His role demanded authority and adherence, established protocols. The immediate reporting of the incident by Sir Tony, his superior, the Lord Chamberlain, Earl Peel, underscores the seriousness with which such an act was perceived within the palace hierarchy. This formal reporting mechanism highlights the institutional procedures in place for addressing misconduct, even when involving a member of the royal family. The involvement of the Prince of Wales, who subsequently addressed Andrew, indicates the matter's significance at the highest levels of the royal household. Andrew's reported reaction, accusing the Lord Chamberlain of creating trouble, suggests a perception of his own actions being above formal accountability. The subsequent confrontation by the Lord Chamberlain regarding the treatment of staff indicates a broader pattern of behaviour concerning royal employees. The insincere apology letter from the Duke of York further compounded the issue, demonstrating a perceived lack of genuine remorse, according to the book. The intervention of Prince Philip, who issued his own letter of apology to Sir Tony, signifies the profound impact of the incident. Prince Philip, having retired from public duties, rarely intervened in such matters, making his action a notable endorsement of Sir Tony and a rebuke of Andrew's conduct. This gesture highlighted the deep respect for household staff held by senior members of the royal family. The Queen's reported unsurprised reaction to the news of the altercation, remarking that such behaviour was characteristic of Andrew, offers insight in long-standing concerns regarding the Duke of York's temperament and conduct. This observation, as reported in the book, implies a history of similar incidents or behaviours that had been observed by the monarch over time. It suggests a challenge in managing Andrew's actions that predated the more public controversies. The decision to find Andrew a role outside the Royal Navy in 2001, after the service had exhausted options for his continued employment, marked a critical juncture in his post-military career. This reflects the challenge of defining meaningful roles for non-heir royals once their primary professional careers conclude. The royal household, in conjunction with government departments, sought to create a purpose for him within public service. The initiative by the Tony Blair government established Andrew as a trade envoy, with the support of Peter Mandelson, was intended to provide him with a significant and useful public function. This role was seen as mutually beneficial, offering Andrew a platform and utilising his royal status promote British economic interests abroad. The comprehensive government involvement Foreign Office, Department of Trade and Industry, Home Office, and Downing Street underscores the official nature and high-level backing of this appointment. The author's argument that responsibility for Andrew's conduct extended beyond the Queen highlights the complex institutional arrangements governing working royals. It suggests that while the monarch is the head of the royal family, the operational and oversight responsibilities for specific roles, particularly those with governmental mandates, are distributed across various state bodies. This challenges the notion of singular blame. Concerns about the efficacy and appropriateness of Andrew's trade missions began surface even before the Epstein scandal became widely public. The book details his reported tendency to make inappropriate remarks at high-profile international forums, such as Davos. These comments, along with complaints about the backgrounds of individuals involved in potential trade deals, reportedly undermined his representative function. The termination of Andrew's trade envoy role in 2011, as communicated by then Prime Minister David Cameron, the Queen, marked a significant official withdrawal of support. Cameron's report of the role becoming an embarrassment indicates a governmental recognition that Andrew's conduct was actively detracting from Britain's image and trade objectives. This decision was a direct consequence of cumulative issues, including his association with Epstein and his general demeanour. The public exposure of Andrew meeting Epstein post-conviction through media photographs in 2010 to 2011 critically eroded the credibility of his trade envoy position. This media scrutiny intensified the government's concerns and contributed significantly the decision to relieve him of his duties. The period marked a noticeable shift in public and official clearance for his behaviour. The Pitch Palace entrepreneurial initiative, which Andrew desired host at the palace, was a personal project aimed at supporting start-up businesses. The denial of his request by Sir Tony Johns Burt due scheduling conflicts suggests a clash between Andrew's personal agenda and the structured operational demands of the royal household. This incident further illustrates Andrew's perceived disregard for established protocols and the authority of palace officials. The broader implications of Andrew's conduct have prompted internal reflection within the royal family and the royal household regarding the governance and accountability of non-working royals. The events surrounding Andrew have intensified discussions about the boundaries of royal roles, the management of personal enterprises, and the mechanisms for addressing misconduct. This ongoing dialogue seeks to safeguard the reputation of the monarchy. The perception, deemed unfair by the author, that the late Queen is being unduly blamed for Andrew's actions post-mortem points a public tendency to attribute responsibility for royal conduct directly the monarch. The book argues that while the Queen held ultimate authority, the day-to-day management of adult children and their government-assigned roles involved a complex web of advisors, officials, and governmental departments. This nuance is often lost in public discourse. The extensive media coverage following the BBC Newsnight interview and the revelations in Hardman's book have contributed a re-evaluation of the role of minor royals within the institution. The focus has shifted towards greater transparency and stricter adherence protocol for all members of the royal family, particularly those engaged in public duties or private ventures that could impact the monarchy's reputation. This scrutiny aims to prevent similar future occurrences. The long-term consequences of these events for Andrew have included his withdrawal from public life and the loss of his military affiliations and royal patronages. This unprecedented removal from official duties reflects the severity of the allegations and the significant damage his public standing. The monarchy has sought to distance itself from his past associations, preserve its own institutional integrity. The public's strong reaction Andrew's perceived lack of empathy for Epstein's victims, particularly his statements about learning a lot about business, underscored a fundamental disconnect between royal privilege and public expectation. This incident served as a stark reminder of the need for members of the royal family to demonstrate compassion and understanding, especially in matters of serious public concern. It marked a critical juncture in the public's perception of royal accountability. The political ramifications of Andrew's Newsnight interview, specifically its impact on the general election campaign, highlighted the delicate balance of royal neutrality The monarchy traditionally maintains strict impartiality during political contests. Avoid